again, and this is our content of unit number 4. We shall start with kinematics part. Before going directly to the concept of kinematics, we shall see how engineering mechanics has evolved and where has it reached. Okay, so as in the earlier uh, explanation, we saw that engineering mechanics, it is a part of physics. However, engineering mechanics has so many numerous applications in civil and mechanical industry, and even in aeronautical industry and so on. So if you see, engineering mechanics is divided in two major parts. One is mechanics of solids and another is mechanics of fluids. Okay, mechanics of solids deals with buildings, dams, stable structures, and so on, and even objects in motion like uh, any car. Okay, fluid mechanics, uh, this is everything related to irrigation department or PWD department and so on. Okay, so canals are there, dams are there, rivers are there. All those analysis will be dealt with in mechanics of fluids. Will be seen through
No.
study of fluid mechanics. Friends, can you see the screen?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, okay.
Yes, sir.
Then mechanics of solids are there. These are again subdivided in two more parts: mechanics of rigid bodies and mechanics of deformable bodies. Now, mechanics of deformable bodies is next part of mechanics of rigid bodies. There are some assumptions that are made and some restrictions or limitations are there in mechanics of rigid bodies, while when we are comparing this with mechanics of deformable bodies, it is nothing but strength of materials. If you see mechanics of deformable bodies, it has three parts: strength of materials, theory of elasticity, theory of plasticity. So it is not under our purview. Okay, it is the next part. What part is of our interest is this one: mechanics of rigid bodies and mechanics of particles. Okay, so particle and rigid body, as we just discussed for a few minutes earlier, particle is a dimensionless uh, object, and a rigid body is a body which does not undergo any deformation when subjected to external forces. So this the mechanics of rigid bodies has been further divided into statics and dynamics is divided into kinematics and kinetics. Okay, so now uh, as far as dynamics is concerned, we shall see what is kinematics and what is kinetics. So kinematics is nothing but the effects of forces that we have to study. Okay, kinematics is the branch of mechanics that deals with object in motion. Okay, object in motion, and we have to study here what are the effects of uh, forces applied in kinematics. So what are the effects of forces applied? First is displacement. Okay, that displacement can be either linear displacement or rotational displacement. Okay, now mathematically, if you differentiate this displacement further with respect to time, let us say s is the displacement. Okay, small s is the displacement, and if you differentiate this with respect to time, you will get velocity. Rate of change of displacement with respect to time, ds by dt, is velocity. If you differentiate velocity further with respect to time, you will get acceleration. Okay, dv by dt. In rectilinear motion or in kinematics of particle, we have to study 3 to 4 parameters. Which are those? First is displacement, second is velocity, third is acceleration, okay, and then change of acceleration. So displacement, velocity, acceleration, and time, these 4 parameters we shall study in rectilinear motion. Now, what is a rectilinear motion? The motion of a body in a straight line. Simple and straightforward definition. Straight line motion, okay, is linear motion or rectilinear motion. Okay, so practical examples of this: a car moving on a road. Okay, so that car will have some start position. Let us say O is the position from where it has started. It has got some displacement S, and while traveling from one point to the other point, it will travel with some velocity. Okay, it will have some acceleration. The driver is definitely going to accelerate the vehicle, correct? So that acceleration will change with respect to time, or it will remain constant. Anything can happen. So there are different interpretations of if a vehicle is having variable acceleration and constant acceleration and so on. Okay, so this is basically rectilinear motion of a car. Practical application of rectilinear motion. This is now one dimension. Okay, rectilinear motion means motion in one dimension only or in straight line. Now it is not necessary that motion has to be in horizontal direction only, correct? So it can be in vertical direction also. So if you see, there is one boy who is holding a ball. He has thrown it up in the air. So here the direction has changed. It has become now vertical. However, the concept remains same. Okay, straight line motion. So a body projected vertically upward. This is another practical application of rectilinear motion. Obviously, when a ball or any object is thrown upward, vertically upward, it will reach some height and it will again come back on the ground due to gravity. That is another part. But this is one more practical application. Third one, someone is releasing some object from a height. So it is a free fall for that particular object. So it is freely falling objects. That is also another example. Okay, vertical direction is there, but it is downward. In previous case, it was upward. Next, practical application. There are some pulleys in the industries, and we have to lift heavy weights in the industries, and we have to transfer it to another location. So when you are lifting the heavy boxes or weights using pulleys, that application is also uh, comes under, it comes under rectilinear motion. Okay, so these applications we have to analyze here, making some assumptions, and we have to solve the problems. Okay, so these are the applications of rectilinear motion. Any doubt? This is known as dependent motion. Okay, now we shall start with kinematics of particle. Now we have known, or we have come to know what is kinematics. That is motion, analysis of objects in motion with respect to 4 to 5 parameters, that is displacement, velocity, acceleration, time. Okay, and particle is just an object having no dimension. So first parameter is displacement. Now here we can see one diagram. Whether diagram is clear? Is it clearly visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now we can see there is one origin O, which is here, and for origin O, there is one particle P, which is traveling uh, on both the directions of this origin. When particle is on origin O, then we are saying that time is 0. Okay, so with respect to this reference point, Now we are measuring time and displacement. Okay. Now there are two things. If the particle travels or gets displaced on right hand side of the object, sorry, the origin O, so towards right, okay, I am talking with respect to our view. So if it is on right side of the screen, then uh, that particular displacement will be treated positive, and on the opposite side or the opposite direction, if displacement is there on the left hand side of the screen, then it will be regarded as negative displacement. Okay, time will not be negative, please remember. Time will be just in seconds, it will be non-zero, and it will be absolute value. Now if there is a little small displacement taking place after p, okay, up to p dash, so that small incremental displacement we are taking at delta s, and time increment is delta t. So p to p dash, delta s is the displacement and time is t plus delta t. Okay. Now we have to put or represent this displacement and make use of this displacement in our mathematical equations. Okay. So the change in position coordinate during the time interval delta t is called displacement delta s. Okay. Now there are two things. One, displacement is a vector quantity. Second thing, total distance traveled is a scalar quantity. We have said that displacement is a vector quantity and total distance traveled is a scalar quantity. Let us say from this origin O, the particle has traveled uh, to a distance or to a point P. Okay, it has gone from O to P. Then there is some displacement. Okay, and there is some distance traveled S. However, uh, this object has come back to its original position O. Okay, initially it has traveled from O to P, now it has come back to O. In that case, there will not be any displacement. Okay, there will not be any displacement. However, can we say that distance traveled is zero? Hello, can we say distance traveled is zero in this case? O to P and P to O? No. Why? Because it has traveled twice the distance S. Okay, so displacement needs some direction to be mentioned, hence it is vector quantity. Distance traveled, I don't mind if that object travels in any direction. I'm just interested in uh, what is the distance traveled, how much it has traveled. That's it. So when I want distance traveled, I don't need direction, and when I want displacement, I need direction. So when you represent anything with direction, it will be a vector quantity, and when you mention only the magnitude, it will be treated as a scalar quantity. Okay, so this is how displacement is a vector quantity and distance traveled is scalar quantity. In certain scenario, displacement can be zero and total distance traveled can be non-zero. We just saw its explanation just now. Okay, so is this clear? Hello.
Yes, sir.
So there are two to three things that we have understood from this. That is, displacement can be treated positive or negative depending on the direction from the origin. Okay, so origin needs to be defined. Then we understood what is the difference between a displacement and what is distance traveled, how displacement can be zero, and how total distance traveled at the same time can be non-zero. Okay, these three things are the major things to understand. Now next parameter is velocity. Okay, Now again the same diagram we have I have shown, same origin. Now here instead of displacement I am showing it velocity. Okay, now it is velocity. So from the same reference point, if my object is traveling towards right, I will be treating velocity of the object as positive, and if it is in the opposite direction it will be treated negative. Okay, so uh, now I want to represent velocity in mathematical form. Okay, I have to represent velocity in mathematical form. So what I will do, I will just differentiate distance traveled or displacement with respect to time. Before that, what is basic definition of velocity? It is defined as the rate of change of displacement of body moving in a straight line. Okay. Now in velocity, there are 2 to 3 important terms that we need to understand. Now, if I say average velocity, I can define this as the ratio of change in position to change in time. Okay, so here I need to know two positions of the particle. One is final position, another is initial position. So if I know these two positions, like in this case, P and O. P is my final position of the particle and O is initial position of the particle. So if I know what is the difference between the two positions mathematically, I will just note down that difference here in the numerator, and it will be termed as or designated as delta S. Okay, and in the denominator delta T is there. How much is the time required when, or what was the time when particle was on position O, and what was the time when particle was on position P. Okay, so if this time difference I know, I'll just note down that time difference in the denominator, change in time. It will be designated as delta T. Okay, this is basic concept and this we already know from 11th or 12th standard. However, once we know what is the average velocity, then how to find out what is instantaneous velocity? We cannot define instantaneous velocity using delta S by delta T. Why? Because there is no certain uh, parameters available with us to evaluate instantaneous velocity. Okay, so we have to apply some limits here. So we have to apply limit as delta t tends to 0 of this ratio, delta s by delta t. Now once we know what is average velocity and instantaneous velocity, we definitely know velocity is a vector quantity, because again here we can see there are directions towards right, towards left. Okay, so it is a vector quantity. But there is another term. It is not only velocity, it is speed also. So what is speed? Speed is total distance traveled divided by time required for traveling that particular distance. So speed is different, velocity is different. Okay, S is total distance traveled, T is total time required to travel the distance. So speed is a scalar quantity. So here if you see what is the major difference between velocity and speed? Velocity can be zero. Okay, velocity can be zero, just like distance traveled and displacement. Okay, if you see what is the displacement, if displacement is zero, okay, velocity will be zero. Again, if particle goes from O to P and comes back to O from P, then total distance traveled is 2 times S, correct? But if it comes back to O, then displacement is zero. Okay, and when it has come back to O, total distance is 2s. It is non-zero. So in the same scenario, velocity can be 0, but speed can be non-zero. So one more important thing, that is velocity is vector quantity, speed is scalar quantity. Okay.